yes I am. When I grow up into this world, I'm gonna be just what I am.
My skin is brown, my hair is black. I'm looking forward, but I'm looking back. I can be anything I want to be.
I can be a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief.
Yes, I can.
When I grow up into this world, I'm gonna be just what I am.
My mother and my father won't frown on me. They want me to be free, to be anything I want to be.
Welcome back to From the Chairman's Desk. We're having an interesting conversation with Dr. Linda Oxendine today about the history of the Lumbees. And Doc, I'd like to ask you one question. I know it's on the minds of a lot of our young people. It's so hard to find information in the history books about the Lumbee people, and that brings up another concern. Why is it there's not that much written documentation about the Lumbees?
Well, I think you have to remember the sources of written Indian history. They were usually from missionaries, from traders. We, of course, did not read and write, and so we didn't record it ourselves. So Lumbee history, like many other tribal histories, is an oral history. The other thing is, because we've never had any treaty relationship with the federal government, there would be no need to talk about it. Because if you look at the tribes where there's extensive history done on, those were tribes that were continually in the forefront as far as the government was concerned. The government wanted their land, they wanted something from tribes, treaties were negotiated, and so there were those kind of documents available. So we haven't had those kind of documents. And we have been, in a sense, as they say, the best kept secret for a long, long time. So we haven't had that kind of outside interest. There have been a few to come in and say, you know, we want to look at you. And they always do from their own perspective, too. So it wasn't until really The Only Land I Know was written by David Eliades and Adolph Dahl that we even had Lumbee contribution to a written history. And it's not very detailed, but it's a good starting point. Now we're seeing a lot more. Melinda Maynor has taken her dissertation, and it's going to be a published history. I think UNC Press has it now. There are a lot of other people who are writing. When I was chair in American Indian Studies at UNCP, I got lots of inquiries from people who were interested, Indian and non-Indian, about researching us and reading about us. But it has never been put in a concise form in a history text or a history resource book. Although we do know that a while back, for instance, the textbook that they use in Raleigh for 5th grade, I'm not sure what year they teach North Carolina history, there was a segment on Lumbee prehistory. There was 2 pages on Henry Berry Lowry. That's the first time I've ever seen him mentioned. And there was, in contemporary Indians, Tom Oxendine, who was the pilot, the first Indian pilot, naval pilot. So anyway, there is an essay on him in the history book that's used in the classroom. So we are seeing progress.
Some progress.
And then I think public schools, since now that public schools can use American Indian Studies as an elective, that some of the teachers in the public schools are looking at Lumbee history as a way of integrating it. The other thing is that there are a few resource books. For instance, I did an essay on Lumbees for the Encyclopedia of American Indian with Adolph Dahl. I took one from the World Book Encyclopedia and edited it and rewrote it. They had one from back in the 50s, and first of all, the information was wrong. And secondly, they wanted me to do it in 250 words.
That's hard to do.
So I did what I could. But again, more and more folks are hearing about us and becoming interested in us. And I think a generation from now, there will be more information. As we were talking earlier, what you have to be careful of, particularly if you go on the internet looking for information, is finding a legitimate source. Because on the internet, anybody can put anything. And so I think tribal sources or coming from Lumbee people themselves that have posted things, you know, it's important to look at who's saying what about us.
Dr. Oxendine, let me ask you this and talk to our young people out here in the land of Lumbee. How important is it for those young people looking in to question their grandparents or great-grandparents about the history of their family?
Very important. And these people, our grandparents are, though they're living longer, they're also passing quicker. And the opportunity to learn from them, I think, is just speeding by. In my Lumbee history class, one of the requirements I have is that they have to do an oral history. And they may use family, they may use church folks, community folks, but I want them to talk to older people about whatever they want to know. Yeah. And it's always a favorite assignment in the class, although they grumble before it happens. And the elders love it. A couple of years ago, I had a woman make a point to call me and said, I so enjoyed having those students come talk with me, because they don't think their wisdom is valued because they're never asked.
Right.
There used to be opportunities to do that, because we didn't have all the media that we have and things that can attract children or distract them from doing anything else. Older people have to take the opportunity, and if they can, sit their grandchildren down and say, let me tell you a story. It comes off better in a story. Or young people have to say, Grandma, do you remember when? What did you hear about such and such? What was it like when you were at the normal school and there were only Indians? What did you hear about in your family about Henry Berry Lowry? Were you at the Klan rally? You know,
that's right.
And I encourage, if there are young people watching this, I encourage you to really do that, because once it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
And it's important to help build our tribal history.
Right. So I'm so sorry we're coming to the end of this segment, but young people and the elders, I hope Dr. Oxendine's stressed you strongly enough about your role in maintaining the history of your people, the Lumbee people. And let's take this very serious, especially you young people. Once you start talking to your grandparents or whoever, you're going to be fascinated about what they went through, their struggles, and what your family tree went through. From the Civil War, whatever, it is so fascinating. But these stories, like Dr. Oxendine's saying, our elders are passing away, and with them, we're losing our heritage. So with that said, we'll see you in a few. We'll be right back from the Chairman's Desk.
She